Growing up, I've always dabbled around in MMORPGs, but for some reason, it never seemed to stick with me. I could never understand the amount of time it took to invest in a game like that. Until now, at 25 years old. When I was 13, I would go to the library after school every day, play AQ Worlds with my classmates. So AQ Worlds was this 2D MMO released in 2008, where you could kind of farm classes and you can have like kind of these novel pieces of gear or really cool looking weapons. Sure, the stats were a little bit better each time, but the main thing was kind of the novelty and upgrading your gear or finding something like cool. But the coolest part was that it ran on a browser. We would play for hours and hours to try to get loot to drop and farm a bunch of gold so we can buy new classes. I think we did this almost every day for 3 months or so. My parents suspected that I was going out and partying every night. Nope, mom, I'm sorry. I'm just a nerd. But eventually he lost interest, and in turn so did I. I stopped playing and I tried some new games. Every so often I would try kind of a new MMO because my brother or my cousin would be interested in them. And I thought to myself, hey, I'd give it a try. First, it was Talisman Online. It was kind of this top-down MMO in 2007 with honestly some really cool class designs. It had like Wizard, Assassin, Tamer, which is kind of like a hunter, but the main thing was having a pet where kind of your pet dictates all your abilities. And of course, they got into World of Warcraft. I only got to about level 30 at most at that time, and I felt like I couldn't stick to it. I never interacted with anyone. I didn't do all of the stuff that you're supposed to do in WoW, and I solely stuck to quests and was thoroughly confused. And the last thing that I did try was Guild Wars 2, which was a competitor to World of Warcraft. It had this really beautiful art style and interesting questing and leveling mechanic. And the reason why I spent a lot of time in Guild Wars was simply because of the storyline. I found it actually quite engaging to kind of watch and see how it developed, and I loved the random events in the world. But eventually I reached max level and I figured I don't know what to do anymore, so eventually the excitement kind of fizzled out again. But I mean, you know, thinking back on it, I would like to revisit Guild Wars 2. It does seem really enjoyable, but this video isn't actually about Guild Wars. It's about World of Warcraft Classic. So I wanted to give WoW Classic a try because I was scrolling around in social media on like Twitch streams and I was seeing it everywhere. People were really enjoying themselves. Even though this game is around 20 years old, it's more than 20 years old. So I thought to myself, surely there's like something going on here where this game is still worth playing, right? Throughout my years of gaming, online games were kind of my main category. I would usually play League of Legends, Overwatch, and Valorant. Most recently, I tried out Marvel Rivals for around a month or two, and I got to Diamond 2, and you know, I guess that's an accomplishment, but like, I don't know, the more I played, the more meaningless it felt. Even though I accomplished something great, the game itself was telling me that I was better than 90% of players. It felt like I didn't really achieve anything. I kind of ventured out and looked into Classic WoW. Since I started streaming in January, I had the time to do so, so I was like, hey, why not? Let's give this thing a try. And I want to say that ever since I started playing WoW, the community has been welcoming and helpful. Do keep note though that I've been playing on a private server called Turtle WoW, so it might be a different experience if you're playing on Retail Classic. But yeah, seeing people kind of come together and be actually nice humans to each other was a really huge change of pace for me, considering that I've been a part of all these other toxic communities for so long. So I guess being toxic was the norm, which sounds really bad now that I'm saying it out loud. So for my first game that I mained was S4 League. It's not related to League of Legends. It's this Korean anime shooter that came out in 2007. The cool part was that you have a kind of a melee only mode, which is actually the mode that I played. The way that the matchmaking in this game was structured was really smartly done, because you had to kind of join lobbies and communicate to people in that lobby what rules you want to set. So if they can't use a certain weapon, or if it's kind of like a 1v1, it made me care more about people. Even when you got into the gameplay, there's certain kind of etiquette. So for example, if you wanted to start a duel with someone, you could just wave at them. If they wave back, then the duel will start. And it was all good fun. You could just kind of like chat during the match. It really set kind of a social foundation for me. And I wanted to kind of bring this game up because when I was playing WoW, I felt that same kind of real person feeling when I was running through dungeons. People would say hi to to each other. They would ask for buffs or mana, and then they would be like, oh, thank you. And you can just kind of have a good time with each other. Now, there were some toxic exceptions, but the positive people outweighed the negatives. I mean, even seeing people in the trade chat, it kind of made me realize how alive and how player funded everything was. I guess the fact of having to do everything yourself, that you don't have these automated systems that instantly kind of create a match or instantly sell something for you, having to interact with people and kind of barter, whatever it may be, it made me feel more connected to the actual player base. And I guess it really did make it feel more like a world of Warcraft. So if we go to around when I was 19, most of the time I would be kind of scrolling through Discord servers, looking for places to kind of hang out and seeing if there were any cool people online. I found this Dutch guy who played a lot of Warframe, and he wasn't doing too great in his life at the time. So I was like, hey, I'll play with him. We can have a chat. And almost every evening we would just kind of hang out and talk about life and stuff. The Warframe itself, the game was okay, but what I wanted to focus on was the actual talking that we would do while we were playing. We would just talk about our lives and ponder meaningless questions, and it felt more like the game was kind of a background task to keep us busy. While I was playing WoW, I actually felt this same kind of ease of not having to put in so much effort to the point where I'm struggling to focus on anything else. I could connect with my Twitch chat and we would talk about all kinds of just random things. That's what I've been missing, and that's what I've needed. I just wanted to escape all the stress of everyday life and look back on all the things that I've achieved and all the good things that have happened to me. Looking back, when I was playing League, most of the time I was really stressed out to just try to get a win and see if I could enjoy myself. Alright, so let's jump back to Guild Wars 2 for a second. During that time, I was excited. I would wake up in the morning and it was what I would look forward to doing. The sense of awe that I felt when I was exploring a new area or finding a rare material, everything felt like it was important and that it meant something. But eventually that kind of faded away since I hit max level. I just didn't understand the point anymore. And with World of Warcraft, I got the gist of it. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Logging in to see if something sold on the auction house, doing hours and hours of dungeon runs for a single drop, or staying up with my buddy until 3 a.m. just because I'm so addicted. And I understand the appeal of competitive games. When I played Overwatch, progression was all about how high of a rank I could achieve, but it always fluctuated. It always felt like something temporary. Depending on the day, my performance would vary greatly, and sometimes I felt like I wasn't even enjoying making progress. But with MMOs, it's entirely linear, but I've always seen that as a double-edged sword. On one hand, you can invest as much time as you want and you'll be still there from where you left off. On the other, having to grind for hours and hours wasn't something I was looking forward to. But I realize now that it's the grinding that makes it worth it, that makes it rewarding. Having to put in those hours for something trivial makes the payout so much better. Something like a title for killing hours and hours worth of monsters, it makes it all feel worth it. I realize that games sometimes can be more than just games. It's about the memories we make of dumb moments or exciting clutches. It's about being able to envelop yourself in a world to get lost in, or maybe losing track of time and finishing off that one last quest just so you can be that much closer to greatness. And I think that's what MMORPGs are designed for. It's about being able to escape into this reality and see all the other people that are with you on that journey. I'm really glad that I got to experience this genre and all the blood, sweat, and tears that came with it, and I'll continue to do so. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to check out my socials down below, you can do so. I might have some discounts in there for you as well. Feel free to check out my Discord. I post when I go live there. And yeah, that's me signing off. Take care, guys. Remember to stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.